our select board meeting of May 14. First, a bunch of business we're going to do. It's actually going to be a meeting of the Liquor Control Board. And so we'll call the Liquor Control Board meeting to order, 5:30. And then on our agenda, we have public comment for items that are not on the agenda of the Liquor Control Board. This would be any sort of, presumably, Liquor Control Board related public comment. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a question. Can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, we do need to fix this. I think we actually need some microphones because it's actually hard to speak up, but we will try. I feel like I'm yelling.
Yes, we'll try helping someone.
So yes, we're starting the board, the Liquor Control Board, and we're doing the agenda, which we just approved the agenda on a 5-0 vote, and we're gonna move on to the business of the Liquor Control Board.
What about people that have things to talk about that are not on the agenda?
We're gonna have time for general public comment when we start our regular select board meeting.
Okay.
Alright, motion to approve all licenses as presented.
Second.
Comment? Questions from the board?
One quick discussion. I might not know this, but the bowling alley, have they always been outdoor consumption permit?
I think they have been for at least a year.
I don't know.
Okay. That's just a question.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are adjourned from the Liquor Control Board. We'll call to order the regular meeting. And our first item is a public hearing for the VCDP grant concerning the Playhouse. And we have,
That's me.
would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Bennett Law. I'm chair of the board of the Friends of the Historic Playhouse Theater, which is the nonprofit that owns and operates the Playhouse now. We, in collaboration with the town, 2 years ago, got a grant from the state called the Vermont Community Development Program Planning Grant that we could use to bring in architects and engineers and everybody to do a real thorough evaluation of the Playhouse, to tell us what we need to do to keep it standing and what we need to do to make it a viable business going forward. I thought that they would want to know what we did with the money. So I printed out all this stuff for you.
Well, thank you.
The state lady came back to me and said, that's really what this is about. This is about me running through an overview of the opportunities that people in town have had to participate in this planning process. So this is my second time here at the select board. I came in when we first applied for the grant, and now it's closing. The grant closes on June 30th, and our work is fundamentally done at this time. We had 2 public listening sessions, one in October of 2024. What we devoted that session to fundamentally was a review of the accessibility study that had been done. The Preservation Trust gave us a little money to bring in an accessibility expert who told us all the things we already knew, basically, about the Playhouse. But it turns out it doesn't really matter if I know it. It matters if some expert writes it down, because then we could use that to get this grant. That community listening session was very well attended. I don't know if some of you were there, but we had about 80 people there. It was really great. We also introduced at that time a survey that we did. That survey is actually included in your packets. So we did a survey for folks asking what they wanted from the Playhouse. What do you want it to be, and what ideas we've already been kicking around made sense to you. About I think 76 people submitted survey results, and as I said, they're in the packets that the select board members have. A year later, we did another community listening session in October of 2025, again at the Playhouse, and this time I presented the findings of the architectural engineers and the structural engineers and the mechanical engineers and electrical engineers. That is all actually in your packets too. Sorry about that. I was slaughtering trees thinking, oh, this isn't gonna be good. But I had a PowerPoint, which you folks have, that I walked through, you know, what we had asked these professionals to do and the instructions that we gave them. Basically, I need nuts to, you know, soup to nuts. I need to know everything. I can't have any surprises. Do I need a new roof? Do I need a new foundation? What do we need here? And I also needed it sequenced so that I didn't fix one thing and then have to tear it down to do the next thing. One of the things that is really driving a lot of this for the Playhouse is it was built in 1919. In 1915, there were 40 towns in Vermont who had something comparable to the Playhouse. This is the only one left in the state.
Mhm.
And so we have also applied for it to be on the National Register of Historic Places. And that application, the development of that application was also covered under this grant. And that is currently with the state, and then it goes to the National Park Service. And they tell me that it looks really good. So that's a good thing. Let me think, what was I trying to tell you? So because the building is historic and we want to preserve that, it's sort of over my dead body, am I gonna rip that up and make it 4 little tiny theaters? To get handicapped accessible bathrooms, which we don't have, I said, let's put it on an addition, because we actually own the space between the Playhouse and the building that the auto parts store is in next door. Let's put the handicapped accessible bathrooms out there and a new front door that you can actually get in if you're in a wheelchair, et cetera, et cetera. So that was actually something that the architectural team that we hired was really, really happy about. So that's sort of what we've come down with. Because not a lot of people came to that second session, what I did was I took all that information and I wrote a series of 12 pieces that sort of introduced the same stuff that went into our Playhouse preview. Some of you might get that. We send it out every Tuesday to tell you what's at the movies and sort of what we're up to. Luckily, that all got reposted to Front Porch Forum. So tons and tons of people got to see that. And tons of people wrote to me, which is kind of great. I wrote back to everybody that called or emailed me, and we also did a compilation of the feedback that we got, and we published that in Front Porch Forum and in the Playhouse preview. So hopefully people feel that they had opportunities. Because it's a going business, people come in 5 nights a week, and believe me, they share, which is good. I don't like the seats, I don't like whatever, or when are we gonna get this? So we are getting a lot of feedback constantly. We are, because this grant is closing next month, we're about to step off the cliff now. The Preservation Trust is right now planning what they call a funders roundtable for us, where they bring in all the state and federal grant makers to come learn about the project so they can sign up to tell me how much money they're gonna give us, basically. So we're excited about that. It's a little scary. We have worked really hard in the last year to try to optimize our competitiveness for those grants by doing 2 things. We eliminated our debt. So a year ago we had a mortgage of $135,000. It's currently under $15,000, and I have pledges to cover that. So I have a couple more doors to knock on to try to get those last couple bucks. The other thing was the work we did to get the Playhouse on the National Register of Historic Places. Both of those things will help enormously in getting grant money. The other real advantage we have, many of you may know that we have an apartment in the back of the theater, and it provides a consistent secondary income to us, which, believe me, during COVID kept the whole thing going. So it's great. You have a lot that you're on your agenda, so you tell me, what do you want to know?
I mean, that was great.
Questions?
Yeah.
It sounds like you guys are doing amazing work, and I'm grateful, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Honestly, anytime you want to come by, reach out, talk to Tom at the box office, and we're happy to hear your feedback. I had to go pick a kid up, is that okay?
I think
Thank you
that's
all
okay.
very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
We have no action for that, no. So this is the part of the meeting where where we open it up to public comment.
And I'm,
And presumably, we have a lot of folks here for a couple of different issues which have widespread concern in the community. One of which I believe is the change in the parade route.
yes, and so, we got in touch with the chamber today, and the chamber, has asked that we do not change, their permit, that the parade route, they also are advocating for the parade route to be straight down as permitted right now, and they have their reasonings for that. They have, they made a statement already, and they have it on their website, and they would like us to direct everyone to them. And so we do not have authority to tell them to control their board. So they are asking to keep the parade route as is, as permitted right now for this year.
State your name.
Say what?
State your name, please.
Nan Gwynn. I'm quite curious. In looking around a bit, I find that the chamber is a public non-profit, not private, as was advertised to me. And I'd like for someone on the select board to tell us why the chamber would not like to change the parade route, change the permit for the parade.
I think that question's best answered by the chamber.
By what?
I think that question is best answered by the chamber.
No, you guys are the ones that they got in touch with, so you're the people in the know.
It's on their statement and their website. There's some concerns there.
I did mention this, that not everybody in town has a website, the town's website,
This is the chamber's website.
or the chamber's website.
If you Google it, you can find it.
And I can't insist on anything, but there are a lot of changes from last year for which we, the public, have had no particular reason, and we'd like that.
I'm
Among which
comfortable
are
speaking on
public
behalf of the
safety.
chamber.
And I'd like to know where the chief of police is, because this is kind of about him also.
Well, this item is not on our agenda. This is public comment. If it was on our agenda, yes, we would have.
You did have an application timely to get that on your agenda.
We did, and we chose not to put it on the agenda.
Why?
I'm done.
Because it's not a select board decision.
I would disagree.
Paul?
My name's Paul Ray. I've been working with the chamber, I've been back from Durango, Colorado the last couple weeks. I got very bothered by reading about it on Front Page Forum coming back about the parade route changing. I was raised here, I try to provide a lot to the community. I went to the chamber meeting, I'm really disappointed that they wouldn't reach out to me. I've taken it as a goal for the last 2 weeks to work with the town, with Scott, to try to find a solution to this. And then now to just find out that the rug has been pulled out from us from the chamber is a little bit very disappointing how things are being treated around this community. And I'm really getting irritated by it. You folks need to hear it. This is a big deal for the community. We put on the 4th of July. It's a big celebration. This is the 250th year. We can pull this off. We have good community members that can do it. I've offered my time. I can provide volunteers. Let's pull this off and get it done.
Other comments? Yes.
Hi, I'm Guy Waldo, 18 Highland Avenue, Randolph. Part of the larger Hospital Hill community, of which there's probably over 100 houses. There's 40 on Highland and 30 approximately on Maple. And I know that it's been going on for 50 or 60 years, and we get all kinds of family. All those houses get family. There's probably 1,000 people that watch that parade from Maple and Highland. And to be ignored as we are now is totally ridiculous. But that, I understand that's the way it is. I think you guys have more power than you admit to change that. But it's, the people up on Highland, they're the largest group of streets in the village. And we pay the wages for the police department. And we're not getting what we pay for.
That's right.
And I think it's totally ridiculous that it's being changed at this point. No input from the public that is directly affected.
I hear you. I live in that neighborhood. We're neighbors.
Yes,
And I've been attending the parade from the neighborhood for over 20 years. I share the disappointment in seeing the route changed. It affects me personally. I don't like it any more than anybody else. I think it's really important for us to really consider, though, that this is an event put on by a private organization
They're not
for the
private.
good of the community, and they do it for us. And they don't feel like they can do it this year the way that they've done it in the past. And I think that we need to be grateful that they're doing what they can do. And, you know, no one is forcing them to put on this parade. They do it because they want to put it on. And it's being changed this year due to forces that they don't control. And this is the way it is. This is a benefit to the community. It's not as much of a benefit as we would like it to be. But again, I just really want to remind people that this is a private organization which is putting on this big thing for the community. And I'm just grateful that we have a parade at all, honestly. That's where I'm at.
And they're volunteers too.
And they're volunteers too.
Yeah, no one's getting paid to do this.
Kit Langdell. So my understanding is that they are saying that they need to do a different route on the recommendation of our police chief, who, as stated earlier, is not here currently, even though this, I think a lot of people here, most people here, are here because of a decision that can in some ways be traced back to him. And our town government is essentially his boss. Someone oh no.
You're
That
sitting right in
doesn't
the path.
Go on, Kit.
Yeah, my point is, it seems that there is a decision maker that this can be traced back to, and it's not, and it is at the recommendation of our police chief, not simply because the Chamber of Commerce believes that they just can't do it. They're doing
My
it
understanding
on a
is that it was a
recommendation.
joint decision. It wasn't a single person who made the call.
And
Why would they
it
not
was-
reach the person that said not to speak to the police chief?
we're getting dangerously into discussion.
Yeah, we are really.
But like, there's also a bunch of things about just like lack of volunteerism. They have a lot of.
No.
So I stay in touch with them.
No.
Like, yeah.
Well, again, Stephanie's right. We're getting pretty deep into a discussion here. This really isn't the idea behind public comments. We'll take a couple more comments and then it'd be nice for us to move on to our rest of our agenda.
George Daniel and Randolph Center. It kind of comes around the chief, but what I came down bitching about a little bit is this chief here. I had an incident with basically what I could only describe as a Neanderthal that prevented me from entering this town office. He intervened, so happened he was here. I have never heard back. I've sent him an email saying what was the end result on this thing. Now, my feeling is this individual should have a no trespass order, and this guy should never be able to come back in this place again. But I haven't heard anything. I've been trying to get a meeting to have a little come to Jesus meeting with everybody and figure out what the heck's going on. He can't be, for whatever reason, doesn't have the ability to come and handle this stuff. So somebody needs to talk, i.e. you, me, and get the chief, and we have a sit down. Because for whatever reason, I don't know if it's an inane inability for him to follow up on something, but something needs to be addressed with this chief. And now after hearing everybody else, yeah, you guys definitely have a problem here.
I think there was someone on this side.
Yeah, I just wanna know
Can you
where,
state your name?
I'm Barbara Waldo, and I just wanna know where everybody is gonna park for the parade.
It's a chamber question, but usual spots.
What?
Wherever they normally do, it's a chamber question. We don't organize it, so.
No, but just think a minute instead of just talking back to me
No.
like that. Where are they gonna
Good
park?
job, Barb.
There's no parking on an ordinary day. So you're gonna take 1,000 extra people and they're gonna park where? That's my question.
You can ask the chamber.
Yeah, that's my question.
Hi, my name is Robin Goodall, and I live at number 8 Maple Street, so I'm across from the hospital on the parade route. I think that when this all started coming together as a problem, it sounded as though it was the police chief who was drawing the line in the sand about what he needed to have happen. So there's and the safety concerns that he had, and there have been a number of people that have gone to talk to him about that and have identified those concerns. This is a problem that has a number of solutions, and it feels as though there has been a distinct refusal to discuss any of those solutions. If you can look at the parade permit for Montpelier, which is a much larger community, and has events that are as wonderful as the events that it sounds like the chamber is planning for this year, they hire it out because they don't have enough officers to cover, and they have folks that come in that are professionals that do it. The police chief has refused to do that. Other communities of commensurate size to Randolph train volunteers and deputize them if they need to have some authority beyond just being volunteers with, things to wave and a vest and a badge. There are lots of folks in town who have been trained for other events like New World Festival to deal with streets that are closed and traffic that needs to be diverted. None of those solutions seem to be on the table. There's one solution that appears to not be possible. Right? So I have concerns for all of the folks who are going to be displaced, including the people who come to enjoy from out of town, to enjoy Randolph and land on my lawn. Okay, because I've lived at my address for 38 years now, and we always have a large group of folks, many of whom are not from the Randolph community and surrounding towns. I'm concerned about the folks who park and where they're going to park. I'm concerned about the farmers market because the parade happens on a Saturday. Well, isn't that unfortunate?
They did. They always skip 4th of July weekend.
Well,
What was that?
The farmers market always skips 4th of July weekend.
And what about the New World Festival and the last mile ride and other things that may need crowd control?
Well, and if those additional officers that he says he needs are not able to be hired, are we going to lose this forever? Pending the need of other officers? My ask for the select board as the employer of the police chief is not to get into the weeds of the permit, but to have the chief explain to the community what the parameters of this decision are. Because he has not. He has not spoken with folks. He has not spoken with the people who have asked. He has not been present at meetings where, Stephanie,
He's spoken to many people, like his
he's spoken to individuals. He needs to get up in public.
Please finish what you need to say. I'd
Okay,
like to
he
continue.
needs to get up in public and talk about why this year has to be different from every other year that this parade has gone on, and what happens in future years if the needs that he has expressed are not met. I think it matters. I think it matters to the town. I think it matters a lot.
Okay, but
To the
a
town.
lot. I think you have been heard.
Thank you.
You've been waiting quite a while.
Yeah, so
Can you state your
Kim,
name?
I'm Kim Davis. I live on Highland Ave, one of the houses affected. My thing is, no offense to anybody that's older and technology kind of savage, not savage, but whatever.
Savvy.
Yeah, that's the word. I can't find anything on their website saying why they changed through and he was just looking to and he said he couldn't find it either.
Thank you.
So is there any, I know you, Stephanie, said that there was something written? Can you pull it up?
I
just
can't,
so
I was
can-
right before the meeting, they said to refer to their website.
And I did, and it literally just says, here's the form
Yeah.
if you wanna
That's
be
all
a
it-
vendor,
This
or
is
if
the
you wanna,
thing that you get.
Yeah.
and it just says, oh, we're gonna do a dunk booth.
Yeah, I'll ask him again to put the statement
Okay.
out there, and I'll
And
ask
then
him,
can it go
I'll let
on
them,
the forum or the
I can ask him.
marketplace or
I
something? so
can
we
send that
know?
along to them and just ask them to put it on the Facebook pages and, the
Yes.
forum and stuff like that.
Thank you for doing that.
Yep, yep.
And then in the back, yeah.
I know, so this is,
Your name,
this is
please?
Tamara Morgan, hi. I know this is the chamber's issue. But I was here when they asked for the permit, and Larry, you said, this is gonna make a lot of people unhappy. And I just wish that you had interrogated that permit and put it off a little bit because it was very early. And I think probably you wish you could have interrogated the reasons behind that permit as well at this point. Because you guys put off a lot of decisions that might have needed to be made earlier, and you didn't put this one off. And I know that there was probably nothing wrong with the permit, but just stepping back a little bit and trying to figure out why that decision was made before saying the permit was fine might have been a better option.
Anybody else before? You both have spoken twice, spoken once already. Anybody else? Yeah, Dustin, you haven't spoken yet.
Yeah, Dustin Adams. I see two issues that I think have been partially addressed that I think are actionable from the select board. One is Scott's role in the assembly process. I looked at the assembly ordinance. I didn't see anything in there that says the police chief has to review a permit, right? It says if the select board has concerns, then they can add stipulations, and presumably those stipulations will be checked with Scott. People seem to be preemptively doing that, so Scott is adjusting routes, not just July 4th, but also that 2K or 5K that a high schooler threw on, right? The route ended up just being a simple back and forth down whatever the road is because of Scott's input. That was before they met with you guys, and you guys raised any concerns or heard Scott in the meeting where that permit was brought up make recommendations. And the second issue that Robin brought up was that Scott should be held accountable by you all. I've heard from at least two people that in two separate individual meetings, which he has had, that he referenced rules or statutes saying that only law enforcement officers can close down parts of Class 1 highways or whatever Route 12 is. I cannot find that anywhere on VTran's website or in any of the statutes on the Vermont legislature's website. And I put in a public records request to Scott. He did not tell me what those statutes were. He just directed me to VTrans and the legislature's website. Couldn't find it. Maybe they exist. I doubt they exist. I think he's just saying shit, and he should be held accountable by you, or the town manager, or the interim. Thank you.
Yeah.
George Daniel again. After listening to him, you guys are really overthinking this whole thing here. You have a volunteer fire department here, East Randolph, Randolph Center. And when he's talking about, oh, there's this ordinance or whatever, you guys have no problem having the volunteer fire department go out there and shut the roads down in front of Gifford so the Dart helicopter can land. So obviously they have the authority to shut a highway down. So if they can shut a highway down for a Dart helicopter, they certainly can be hauled out there and do this for this parade. So I don't know why this is overthought
The
here.
volunteer fire departments were asked to volunteer and they declined. They said they wanted to be a part of the
We have
parade.
people from fire department.
Well,
Again, we're getting into discussion.
Scott is
Your
saying
point is
no.
taken.
That's
And we
why.
think, oh, you haven't spoken yet, yes. Would you say your name, please?
I'm very
Would you
disappointed.
state your name, please?
David Tabor, and I grew up on Maple Street, still live in Randolph. And I'm very disappointed because we've got a standoff going here between the leadership of the town and the people. The people want one thing, and there's a lot of finger pointing going on. The select board is saying, oh, it's not me, it's the chamber. The chamber is saying, well, we put in an application like we're supposed to, and the board approved it. The chief of police is saying, well, I don't have enough people. You know, the police budget in, the police spending in 2020 was a third of what it is now. Like $600,000 more per year. Now, we can't manage a parade? Give me a break. The other thing is that you're gonna take, my guess is 2,000 people. Now, I've heard some people say 400. It's a hell of a lot more than 400.
Yeah.
You're gonna take those 2,000 people and you're gonna dump them into the center of town where the problem was last year, and you're gonna make it more complicated. Now, whether you like it or not, you're on one side of the standoff with the chamber and with the police department. It's unlikely in my mind that the police budget is gonna be passed again next year without a hell of a lot of discussion. But where do you wanna be? Do you wanna be with the people or against the people?
Kit and then, Paul.
This isn't parade related at all, actually. So, data centers are being built around the country, particularly in rural areas, and particularly in rural areas where there's a great deal of water. Both of those are true here. They pump a lot of pollution into the local area, which affects local environment and human health as well. They make electricity costs for local residents skyrocket. Now, I know it's easy to think this isn't something that could happen here, and maybe that's true, but you know, I have insurance on my car and home for a reason. I'm not hoping that my home's gonna burn down or that my car's gonna crash, but if something did happen, I'd rather have something to protect against it. Now, Royalton just put a provision in place to, in their town plan to block the future construction of data centers in their area. It's of course an easy thing to do, with huge benefits and protection for the community. I would like to see it happen in our town of Randolph.
Thank you for that
That's
comment. Paul?
I'd just like to implore that you folks become problem solvers, not divide us as a community. This is supposed to be building community spirit in the community. That's why I raised my family here. That's why other folks have chosen to be here. Let's be problem solvers, not stop putting our heels in the ground and coming up with 10 different excuses why something can't be done. Let's do this. Let's fix the problem. We can do it. I have faith in us.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Kathy Robbins, Highland Avenue, Benton too. I'm just, is it your perception that it's a completely shut door? Is there any way to go back and readdress the permit issue?
It's really up to the chamber. I mean,
I'll be there
I
tomorrow
know
morning.
I know people
Well,
want to say
that's-
that that's like not
I
taking
appreciate-
the responsibility, but
Right.
really,
Is
the
it
way
not-
the way assembly permits work is that the organization, whoever it is, or individual that wants to conduct an event, comes to the town, meets with the permit officer, who in this case is our town manager, who is helped by the chief of police, who he consults with to protect public safety. They come up with a plan. That plan then comes to the select board. If the permit meets the requirements of our ordinance, the select board must approve the plan.
Not available.
The pl- Can we please mute? The select board must approve the plan, and that's what we did at our meeting. We approved that that assembly permit because it met the public safety concerns that would go along with an event of that size. I don't think, it sounds like the chamber has decided what it wants to do, but if the chamber wants to come back to the select board at our next meeting with a new permit, They can do that,
Zoom
for
is
sure.
not receiving
Can you
audio.
please?
We can hear you, Irene.
I don't think she's trying to talk.
Are
So-
there
Or
night
video.
meeting times available between now and the parade?
Sorry, say that again.
Are there meeting times available, so to speak?
Between now and the parade,
Yeah.
we have our regular monthly meeting, the second Thursday of the month.
So there is potential.
So that's the select board or the chamber?
The select board, I don't know what this,
The chamber would have to submit a revised permit for us to approve at that meeting, which they still can do.
So would you be willing to ask the chamber for a new permit?
They, right now, said they don't want to submit a new permit right
Are
now.
you alive there?
You can't read her?
She says she can't see or hear us. I don't see a problem.
You can make her though.
Yes.
Well, in all honesty, I could see why they wouldn't wanna resubmit something, cause after sitting in here,
You go, George.
I could see that. I mean, think about it, I mean, just the exchange I've been hearing here lately, if I was on that chamber and stuff, it'd be like, why even waste my time of submitting the thing? I mean,
I
really.
would happily approve a new permit if they could figure out.
Well,
how to
okay,
change
but
it.
we basically just sat there and said, here's a simple solution to this whole thing, and then it's just like,
This is a private event put on, not a private, an event put on by a private
but by
organization.
your own,
not
but by your
private.
own words, you
And
sat
we
there
have-
and said,
we
we
made it
embrace
really
this, what a
clear.
great thing they're
They're
doing.
I made it
Private.
really clear how the process works. We can't do anything other than what our ordinance states, and that's what we're doing.
Hiding behind ordinances.
Larry,
Not fixing it.
You can, however, ask that your employee give the community an explanation, the larger community, not in private meetings, an explanation of what the concerns are, why they are different this year from last year, and what happens if those needs are not met. It would be really helpful, I think, for all of us to hear that. You know, we've been watching this event. I've been watching this event for 38 years, and there are a bunch of people here who have been watching it for a lot longer than I have. I don't understand what's different this year. And I don't understand what happens if the things that he has expressed about additional law officers that the town is having trouble hiring for lots of reasons, including the retirement plan that the select board approved however many years ago you chose to do that requires officers to be here for 20 years before they're vested in their retirement. And I know you're working on that.
The
But-
governor
but
actually
if
just
that's-
signed- The governor
but-
just signed the bill.
If that's, well, yay, but if that's part of the problem, then you do own the problem. And I think it is within your purview to say to him, you have to explain this to people. And you have to explain it to people in a way that helps them understand what changed and what needs to happen going forward. And I do think that is your job. You employ him.
So one of the things that's changed is we've always had 10 officers on, and we have reached out to everybody, and we have 5, including South Royalton, and we have reached out to all the local agencies, to fix on that.
They
Yeah.
even put a request out to every single town manager in the state, asking if their town police officers had additional officers to offer, as well as the Vermont State Police. Sorry.
Sorry,
But,
Stephanie, you're
excuse
you're
me, I know, I'm
wrong.
not done
Wait.
talking.
Yeah, but you
I'm not done
Dustin,
talking.
Dustin, you need to wait your turn.
Scott couldn't be here because he had a family event tonight, and so I think kind of demanding that someone just drop everything, like.
What about
Yeah,
private
yeah.
security?
We need to take our turns, please.
Yeah, and, yeah, I mean, we're getting into a big discussion.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, and the chamber has their own reasons that they can explain for themselves. I don't wanna speak for the chamber. That they're interested in having this. It's, yeah, I mean.
And I'll add, Scott is still trying. He really is still trying to recruit more people to be able to allow this to be modified before the event. But he's just striking out right now,
But
so.
quickly, if I'm a volunteer fireman.
We need to people to take their turns. This is becoming too much.
We shut out.
You really can't.
I know, I don't. I don't know what it's doing.
This isn't intentional, Irene. I'm on the select board and I also cannot hear. They're trying to fix it.
Oh.
I
We just can't hear what we're saying?
Right.
Is the owl not working? Do we know?
It appears to be working.
Doesn't somebody not be sorry?
So, what I'd like to do at this moment is see if people have something to say, which adds to the conversation, doesn't repeat what we've already heard, because at a certain point where we're all kind of just saying the same things, and we're not making the conversation helpful, and we've already been here for 45 minutes, and we would like to move on with the agenda. So, God.
I have just one short comment. For some 30 years or longer, we had one police officer in town. We had to parade. This is totally ridiculous.
I have another public comment. Just a minute ago, Stephanie has either been misled or lied, but we've not always had 10 officers at the parade. 2023, we had 5. And in that year, there were 2 heat-related incidents, which the police did not address. Morgan Easton actually did. And I saw in some other minutes that I think we've had, or maybe in some recordings online, that we've 8 in some of the other years. It's not always been 10. That's unequivocally not true. We have 5 this year. We had 5 3 years ago. We could do it again. Scott's just being kind of a dick about it.
We heard, you made your point. In the back.
Carol Buckley, 10 Maple Street. I'm just going to reiterate about what we're afraid of. As a volunteer in this town, I'm worried about the last mile ride. Is he going to say, well, we don't have enough people for that? Eliminate that. New World Festival. When the helicopter comes in, are the fire department not going to be allowed to direct traffic? Is the helicopter not going to be allowed to land? These are all things that could be a ramification if we go down this road. So this, you have to think about the future. It isn't just the fact that there'll be thousands of people that are displaced and have no place to go. It's about what's going to happen to the rest of the events that are happening in this town or won't happen.
You know, it sounds like we're still having problems with them.
Except that it will throw everyone out.
Yeah.
Can you send a message saying we have to close it down and then everybody log back in?
Yeah, put something in the chat.
I can do that.
If you log out, Judy doesn't kick everyone else out.
Yes. So I can do that if you want me to.
Give a warning.
I mean,
If you
I'm
send
not
a
sure we have
warning.
much.
I think
Yeah,
you-
send a warning, say
Yeah.
you gotta kick them
Let
out and then
everybody know.
everybody log back in.
Reset the camera first.
What is this that we missed?
No, they're on their little Zoom meeting thing.
The
there.
people online can't hear what's going on.
Is whatever fell over not messed
No, that was the face upstairs.
Valid point. Bye, Paul.
What's that?
Are you done?
They don't listen, so why am I gonna be here?
I think I can get it myself. It isn't gonna change anything right now.
Very disappointed.
You guys can hear me. The chamber is not private, it's public, nonprofit.
Just because it's nonprofit doesn't make it public.
It happens to be public. I did check.
Well, it really doesn't matter.
The Secretary of
Other than
State's
that,
office.
we've got all the manpower, so I don't know what to.
Don't leave out woman power.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Here.
Here we go. I should have used your name.
Use my name.
Well, next time come back and we'll tag team this again. See, as I've gotten older, I've gotten mellower. I was saying earlier.
People love me.
Yeah, we're muted. Yeah, but I can't see it, it won't let me do it.
That's what he's trying to do, is justify.
Yes. There we go, we're back right in the moment. I don't know this.
That's John, I'm researching for this.
Only 8 right now.
We're back up now. We've got people back.
Got some back anyway.
People might need to know the law section.
Yeah, I don't want
We'll give folks online a couple more moments to get back in the Zoom room before we start up again.
You're probably thinking this should have been a good day for you to have a family emergency, huh?
You know, you come and you do the best you can do.
Yeah. As long as you got a goal.
We're here for a purpose, right? We're here because we all care about this place and we're doing the best we can.
This
So-
isn't fun, just if anybody wants to know.
It could be more fun.
I'm a little curious, are you surprised about the response?
No.
So then why did you guys sign the?
'Cause
I
it's-
get, okay, so,
Sorry.
before, I get that, okay, we don't have the police, I get that, but why didn't you guys like, hold up, wait, people are gonna be pissed.
I literally said.
Like, why
said-
can't we step back and wait 2 or 3 weeks? Let the town know what's going on. Cause this probably wouldn't have been such an issue if the whole town knew what was going on before you guys are like, oh, we changed the parade route.
I don't disagree with you.
Like,
That was on the chamber too.
you know what I mean? Like, I get it. The chamber, then
It's also on
who's a member
police
of the
chief.
chamber that could be here to speak for us tonight?
I mean,
Because
I get it,
I
they're
would
all
also like to say that
volunteers
I
too.
believe that there's been a bunch of change at the chamber too, like there's new people working there. And so I think we need to, I don't know, I'm grateful that they're doing the work that they're doing, and I think that as they mature as an organization with some of the folks that have come in and are gonna revitalize it, that we'll see some really good things there.
But
Alright, so I think we have kind of already started, so it looks like there's nobody in the waiting room, so. Alright, let's try to wrap this up, folks, okay?
Hi there, Matt Knight, town resident. This is probably not the first time, and certainly won't be the last time the select board encounters a problem where the process is an obstacle. You are running into a situation where there is a very linear process. An organisation creates a permit, the permit submitted, the select board follows their responsibilities in approving or denying the permit based on their own regulations. That is what is playing out here. I think what you're hearing is a frustration on 2 fronts. One is a lack of transparency into the process. Why that permit looked the way it did is not obvious from reading the permit, and there were decisions that went into defining the route that people here are not comfortable that they understand the rationale behind, and may offer solutions to change and improve to go back to what we've had before. The second is that this process needn't be linear. I have seen the select board create committees in the past, working groups to solve these problems. You've heard it mentioned that we're looking for a solution here that brings people together. You've got an enormous outpouring here of community support for this to be successful. Nobody wants this to be combative. It's supposed to be a thing we can celebrate, we can enjoy, and we want to see this succeed. I believe that if we created a working group, a committee, a body of some form with the requisite people on to take the great work that the chamber has done so far, to help them, to give them that empowerment, to give them the support, the human power, the volunteers to actually make this successful. If that can't solve it, then legitimately as a community, this wasn't possible. But I think what you're hearing right now is people feeling like we're not trying, and that we're not seeing the transparency that we demand.
Are there any other comments on the parade? We really should be moving on.
May?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget, Emery Mathias, for the record. I forget when it was, but the president of the Western Valley Chambers was online at one of our meetings and said specifically that we needed 12, they needed 12 volunteers that would be willing to miss the parade route entirely. And then I believe the community made it clear that we had 12 people willing to do so. And then that wasn't enough. And then Chief of Police said that we would need ideally officers who are most trained and qualified, and I agree. But then alternatively, we could have those that had gone through the Vermont Local Roads Training Certificate. This is what I believe Dustin was trying to find. There's not a law, I don't believe, but there is, I believe, some online flagger training people could take. I think there's a fee associated, but again, I know that there was enough people willing to do so. I'm willing to do so. I volunteered for the parade last year and I intend to do so again this year. I feel like there are legitimate obstacles being brought up, and then also the community finds legitimate solutions, and then somehow that's not accepted. I feel like the goalposts keep moving, and it's really disappointing to me because we're trying to be collaborative as a community. At least I believe we're all still trying to be collaborative. We're finding solutions. I wish Paul were still here because he was throwing up solutions left and right, willing to put in a lot of money, have a lot of donors come in to help this and make it right for our 250th birthday of America. I am biased because I do live in Hospital Hill, but I do support going back to the route that we've had longer than I've lived, double so. I think it's been 60 years now, at least, that it's gone the same route. You know, the concern about the sharp turn was addressed and that it was an issue 7 or 8 years ago, and all they did was move the barrier to have that one.
Yep, they don't go Earl Street, they go down to the south.
Thank you.
I would like Emery to finish up, and then we're gonna close public comment and come to the rest of our agenda.
It just feels like our community came together to find solutions, and I hear that there wasn't a lot of discussion, and I do apologize personally that I didn't ask enough questions of them at that moment. Why? And I think that this is also be another moment for me to plug in that I think we all need to be meeting twice as often so that we could say, hey, come back in 2 weeks after you put this before the board, instead of saying, well, actually, it's only going to be another month. Because now it's going to be another month before they come to us. They have one shot before then it's July. They could come up with some reason, a legitimate reason, that they're going to miss the one meeting they're going to have now to come back to us to amend their event permit. I'd like the select board to be meeting twice as often as we do.
With that, we'll end public comment and move on to approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Sorry about that. I had a non-parade thing.
Go ahead, Robin.
Thank you.
Is it gonna be brief?
It is gonna be brief. It is gonna be brief. It actually has to do, since I'm not on the Board of Trustees for the library anymore, I've had some time to step away from the conversations about the grant and think about it in a slightly more removed way. And I understand the concerns that the select board has had about a grant with a permanent easement. I get it. I mean, I certainly have been a part of those conversations forever. I wish that the select board might think about the grantors in a slightly more positive way. It's felt relatively adversarial, you know, that we're kind of afraid that they're gonna ask, that they're gonna keep us from doing something that we might wanna do 30 years down the road. The Board of Trustees for the library and the select board are both groups of people that change, and you change on a regular basis. And it is impossible as a fluid board to keep up with all of the things that are necessary when you are thinking about maintaining buildings infrastructure in particular. the grantors for the $150,000 that have been offered to the library, this is what they do. And I think it might be a lovely thing if the select board could take the time to think of them as a resource with that has available to them the expertise to help with the choice of contractors and to help with the planning and to help with whatever the things are, the questions are that come up when you do a major renovation like this, rather than defer it again and again and again. We have seen the outcome. I'm going. We've seen the outcomes of those deferments. And I think that it would be a better choice to maybe take advantage of that expertise and move forward with that money. So anyway, that was my thought. Thank you much.
Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consent calendar.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, no opposition, the motion carries. Move on to our business, which is the proposed budget for the next fiscal year for the library.
This would be where I disclose I have a conflict of interest
This will be done.
and I can't participate. I had a member of the public tell me that they would believe it'd be best if I weren't even in the room.
That's sometimes common, yeah.
Okay.
Could you speak up, please?
I think
I'm
it's-
sorry.
Yeah, but like if anyone's gonna like cause any problems or anything, be better
We're discussing my conflict of interest and whether I should remove
Well, if he has
myself.
no input into it, he's just listening, what difference does it make?
Talking amongst themselves and not.
I'm comfortable with them staying in the room, for sure.
Does anyone in the public object?
I do not object.
Thanks. Good projection.
Thank you. I'm known for it.
So we have a proposal from the library, which is the same proposal as the select board received back in February. We had quite a bit of discussion about it at that meeting. At that meeting, it was decided to go with a different budget, which was then presented to the voters. Unfortunately, that budget, when it was created during that select board meeting, didn't fully carry through all the changes that it should have, and so the numbers that were put out to vote really weren't the numbers that the select board had in mind when they made their decision. So the community voted to say no to that budget because those numbers were not what people were expecting. And so the library board met, considered what they wanted to propose to the select board, and has proposed the same budget as they proposed back in February. And so that's the budget that's here before us today. And I'll entertain comments from the select board.
I think that what we need to do is put forth a budget that reflects what the ask was at town meeting, which was to make sure that the benefits packages were taken into consideration with the change of employment that we were aware of. And then there was a request from the library board at that town meeting that the contribution from the library board was $50,000 in that budget, and we didn't know at that point that they wouldn't be comfortable doing that with a smaller budget. Just switch that to $25,000 to be raised by taxes instead of by the board of trustees, library board of trustees. And that is what, the reason why people voted that down is because that was the budget that they wanted to see. And I think that's the one that we should put forth to make sure that they have a budget for next year.
And if we were to work with that intention, then the library budget that we would propose for FY 27 would be $466,000 and $466,023, with $64,068 raised from non-property tax revenue and $401,955 raised by property taxes.
What was that last number, 400?
$401,955.
So we need a motion to put forth those budget numbers.
I believe there was a comment. If there's no other discussion from the select board, we'll entertain comments from the public. And I think Tamara was first.
I do have, I just
Actually, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Let's let Alyssa go first.
I've just been dealing with family health issues and haven't been able to check. I just want to make sure the math for that proposal was double checked.
These are numbers that I had got from our finance director, Stephanie Barrett, and were corroborated by Amy Grasnick. That is, yeah, isn't that true? Is that true?
To be very specific, it changes the wage increase that was in the proposal from the board to the 3.25%, and then calculates based on the same model that the library's proposal was based on, the impact on the fringe benefits. And then it takes out the $25,000 of additional revenue that the board had included in its proposal. That's what these numbers reflect. And I asked Amy to review it. She had one small change to one person's baseline number, and that has been incorporated into the numbers that the chair just read out in terms of the total and the tax, the amount raised by taxes.
And so again, it's the intention here is that this is the budget that the select board would have approved at its February meeting had we gotten it right back then and this is the one we would have put in front of the voters.
And just to clarify, it was January 29th that we had that meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just for references.
January
Yes.
29th, of
I know
course.
what you're trying to say, but I
Yes,
just want
yes,
to
no,
be
thank
clear.
you for that. Other thoughts from the board? Okay. Tamara?
I would like, just once, to hear an apology for putting the wrong budget forward to you. Never once, I was there at that meeting, when Trevor was trying to explain, oh, I didn't do. Never once, it was all defensive, which is usually your stance. And you have never apologized for us to be having to go through all of this rigmarole to have a revote. If Trevor had just admitted his mistake and put the budget forward that the library had proposed in the first place.
And I think Dustin was next.
Yeah, Dustin Adams. Two things. One, we voted down the library budget because we wanted to see an increase. We probably would have let it ride if there weren't errors, but the errors were the salt on the wound. We took a straw poll of the people at town meeting, which is representative of the people in the town on that day, right? We represent the entire town when we make decisions. When we take polls, we represent the town. We didn't say we just wanted it fixed. We said we wanted it raised. Two, you didn't know this at the time, but I think it's been disseminated enough now that we all know this. You don't have the legal authority to adjust the trustees' proposed budget. There's case law on this, not a statute, it's case law. We're asking the people, most of the people left in this room are asking that you take the budget from the library board of trustees and let us decide if it's too much. Would have been nice if you did this a month ago so we would have time to vote twice. That's what we're asking. We're asking for democracy, not for you guys to nitpick over what the budget should be. Just let us vote on it. If it fails, you guys get to point and say, look, the library board of trustees sucks and they made this a huge shit show. Vote them out instead of vote us out. That's what we're asking for.
Maybe they're afraid that it would get passed if they actually believed in democracy.
That'd be great.
Do you have a comment?
Oh, that was it.
Okay. I'd like us to take turns, please. Yes.
Hi, this is Morgan Eaton, library trustee. Have you had a chance to look in the packet about the market research that we put together in terms of the raise increases that should happen? That's what the original intention was from the library board of trustees. Well, that's actually a question. Have you looked at it?
I said yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm functionally illiterate, so the library's not a big thing on my thing here, but it sounds like with this trustees and stuff, I haven't really figured out yet the tail's wagging the dog here or something here as far as you guys having to answer to the trustees and they put this stuff out. And I don't know the nuances of how this is all broken down. But I'm kind of curious a little bit. Braintree, does Braintree have a library? No. But they use our library, right? How much do they pay to utilize this library? Because I understand that there's towns that have a joint thing where we don't have a library, but we'll pay to utilize your library and stuff. Does this town have an agreement with Braintree on this?
So what happens there is the town of Braintree puts on their ballot for on town meeting day a special appropriation for the Kimball Library.
Okay.
And this year it was $18,000. I think I'm getting this right, and it passed. So that's in the budget that
Okay.
we're talking about.
So
now.
then, does the trustees of this town sit there and go, okay, we need this budget, this is how many people are in the town and stuff, and figure out, per head type what it is? Do they use that same formula over there with Braintree and stuff? That's what I'm just trying to figure out this
Like,
stuff.
are you asking, like, does Braintree pay the same per capita cost for participating?
For
in the library
utilizing, yeah.
As Randolph does? I believe the answer is no.
Okay. And then I wasn't finished on it.
Okay.
So when they came up with this thing, you might say a town has X amount of people for a road crew or whatever. So this library, I go online and I look up this stuff, and you've got a youth development adult program librarian, a communication librarian, and you got your director and your youth services librarian. Who comes up with the formula on how many people that you need to actually staff a library?
That's a great question.
And why I'm saying that is because, let's be realistic. If it's my kingdom, I want a whole bunch of knights and court jesters and stuff. So at what point does somebody rein this in? Because if you're on this library board, well, this is my little thing there. So this is what I'm trying to say is you people as a select board are doing this, but then the advocates are pushing this. And what I'm trying to say is where's the pushback or the checks and balances there is what I'm kind of curious about here.
Yeah. So I think you've raised some really great points. One has to do with the fact that, and we've discussed this in select board meetings in the past, that at the library board and the select board, we have these overlapping responsibilities where which, if we're not 100% in agreement, it causes, some disagreement and some tension as we're seeing right now. It's unfortunate. It would be nice if we had a different system that didn't put us in that position. But that's the way our library is set up as part of our municipality. Maybe we can change that. That's a topic for another conversation, perhaps.
But it is.
But that's certainly part of what's going on. And I think also in terms of what are the checks on the library board. I mean, I think what we're seeing is what we're doing right now is the library board brings their budget to the select board for its review. That's my understanding of the way that works.
But what I'm saying
Amy is shaking her head. It's no.
But that's what I'm trying to say. So who on the other end or whatever, because you got the advocates, I know they're all in here, expounding on the great virtues, and I'm not trying to say that, but where do you come up with, okay, we got a town manager, we got an assistant to the town manager, and an assistant to that person. At what point do you sit there going, this is our ideal manning and stuff, because it's costing somebody in there, unless you want to sit there and go, hey, you guys all want to be volunteers? No. So that's what I'm trying to say is, where is it's almost like they got their own union in here, as near as I can figure.
Yeah, so in terms of how does the library figure that out, I suppose I would defer to someone from the library to answer that question. Amy, you have an answer for that?
Certainly. I'm Amy Grasnick. I'm the director of Kimball Library. The library board is composed of people who are elected. So if your question is, how do the townspeople have a hand in how the library is governed? You vote in or don't vote in people who are running to be on the board of trustees. How is the budget managed? The library board has the authority to set the library's budget. That's what you're electing them to do. Who has the authority to say, yes, we approve that budget, or no, we don't approve that budget? The folks who are registered to vote in the town of Randolph have that power. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, and it sounds like to me, because I did do a little reading, that a lot of towns have, quote, a public library, and it's under a different guise, and it looks like to me, to get rid of all this stuff would be to get rid of this library board and just have them, because technically, they're employees of the town, but they're under.
Volunteers.
Well, she's getting paid, the director.
The board is not.
I'm not saying about the board, but I'm just saying, it just sounds like there's a lot of strata here.
Yeah.
Alright, let it with he's a functionally illiterate.
Please do not chime in. Take your turn.
Ron Wold, Randolph. I'm looking forward to getting some dinner. I just briefly wanted to weigh in. As a town with Australian ballot, as we are, you guys as the select board don't get a lot of direct input from the town except in situations like this. So, a budget gets put forward and we vote on it by Australian ballot and it's up or down, and you don't always know why we vote something up or down. I mean, in the case of this library budget that didn't pass, we all know that it was because there were errors. But I'm stating for myself that if you put forth the one that the library board created, I would vote it up. I like it. And if the select board put out a budget that was lower, in your wisdom, the only input you can get from me other than this meeting is an up or down. And it would be silly for me to vote it down even though I don't agree with it. And it's very confusing. So I'm just here to say, if it was the submitted budget from the board, I'd vote it up.
So just a question in the select board here.
Can you
Luke,
please say your name, please?
Luke Bowman. So has the select board consulted with the town lawyer on the legality of what they're doing here?
No.
Is the select board familiar with 22 VSA subsection 143?
Would you just be surprised if I said no?
So this states that the board of trustees has the full power to establish a library budget for consideration by the legislative body of the municipality for inclusion in the municipality's budget. The Vermont legislature added that language explicitly in 2023, and the word establish was a deliberate choice here, which means that the library board establishes this. It's been through your budget committee. It has been here. The town voted down the budget that the select board put in front of it the last time. Let the budget that has been through the budget committee, that's been done by the library board, that has significant justification with it, let it go to the voters.
Yeah, Matt.
Matt Knight, town resident. Just a very small point of order. Stephanie, you mentioned something right at the start that I think was really important, and I just want to make sure we capture it. At the town meeting, when the budget was voted down, the minutes reflect the straw poll to vote the budget down. They do not reflect the fact that there was an explicit recommendation to the select board for an increase. You alluded to that. I know it was alluded to earlier as well. Can we get that in the minutes of this meeting, that we acknowledge that that was stated at the town meeting, so it is on the official record that that was a recommendation? Because to this gentleman's point earlier, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, you don't get much direct feedback other than a yes or no on a vote. At that point in a town meeting you did, and I think that's valuable and should be captured somewhere. That set of minutes, I believe, has already been ratified, and therefore we can't change that. But if we acknowledge it at this meeting, I believe that would be valid for entry in the minutes.
So you're saying that we could, basically we would be saying that Mr. Knight says that in the minutes of the town.
Stephanie led with it.
Well, but you're saying that she wasn't accurate, so.
I was accurate. But the
Oh.
town meeting, the
The
town
minutes
meeting
don't
minutes
reflect
don't just say that there was a straw poll, but it doesn't say like the exact like reason.
Somebody looking back in a few years' time would have no way of knowing that that was voted down because the town membership at that meeting wanted an increase, even though that was what was said in the room back then. Stephanie alluded to that and was said here. A few other people have as well. I just think that's a really important detail that we should capture in an official record.
Yes. Yes.
Got it. Tamara?
I'm on the budget committee, and we received the original budget from the library, and we sent it to Judy, and she distributed it to the select board. And now my understanding is that it has been altered from that original budget, which was the budget that the trustees put forward in the first place.
Larry,
And
can we restart again?
Yeah.
Because I don't wanna lose
Oh,
any
is
of
it?
this and we're having
Yeah,
problems again.
Okay.
So we're gonna take a pause.
Yep.
Yes.
Maybe let's try this out first before you kick it.
I don't have video either. It's
probably due for that
Just
family
doing the same
emergency.
thing.
Yeah.
See if the video is maybe it's gonna, yep, we're back. We're back.
That's
right. We're back for right now.
I didn't know that.
But that's when it went out.
All right, so are we,
We good,
are
Alyssa?
folks online doing?
Yeah, great.
Okay, okay. All right. Tara,
I was
please
saying,
continue. Sorry about
um,
that.
I'm on the budget committee, and we reviewed the library budget that was originally proposed, I suppose in January, or maybe probably much, much earlier. And that was the budget that we put forward as recommending to go to a new vote, and I'm wondering why that's been altered.
I mean, why I would propose a different
Yes.
budget? Well, because I disagree with that budget.
Why not?
Why?
Well, no.
I let it, why not?
Kit, I really need you to not interject. If you want to talk, you will have your turn. I will recognize you, but you need to wait your turn like everyone else, please.
Why not, as other people have said, just let it go to a vote?
I believe it's the select board's responsibility to put a budget in front of the voters that the select board supports. Kit?
I think it's valid for you to call me up, but I also would like to point out that I'm not the only person to speak spoken out of turn. I'd also like to point out that you are here, you are voted in by the community to represent the voters. This is an opportunity in which we could essentially bypass the middleman, that being the select board, and just let the voters vote on what they want. Other people have said that they would vote on the original budget. I certainly would. The only reason I can think of is that not to do so is that the select board doesn't want that budget to pass. They know that it's popular.
Heather?
Hi, this is Heather Bowman, I'm a member of the library board. I just had a question. Larry, and sorry, I'm only getting fragments of the conversation sometimes, all the way back here in the corner. But how did the select board change, sorry, the budget that the library provided them, and when and why for this most recent term?
This is the same budget that was discussed at our January meeting. That this is in the spirit of the budget that ought to have gone from the voters in March, but there were mistakes or errors in that budget, as you know, and this budget reflects correcting those mistakes and putting the budget, a corrected budget, in front of the voters.
But I'm saying this is the first time that you guys have had the library budget on the select board meeting since, town meeting and the Australian ballot for the first time around.
Yes, that's correct.
And it sounds like Stephanie Barrett, our finance director, made some sort of spreadsheet for you guys that like calculated what you wanted to see.
That's correct.
How was that decision made? And when?
I asked her to do that.
What were
Because I
your
wanted to see those numbers. I wanted to
Okay,
see, I wanted to see the budget that we would have created at that January meeting if we had done it right. So I asked for that budget to be created so we could consider it here tonight without having to create those numbers on the fly. So we'd have something to work with, which was accurate right from the start. So we wouldn't repeat the mistakes from that January meeting.
I'm just confused because y'all are supposed to talk about your decisions in open meeting and not make decisions out of open meeting.
We are talking about that now.
And so like, as I said, this is the first time that y'all have had the budget on a select board meeting agenda. Are you guys figuring stuff out behind the scenes? Like, how did you know what numbers you wanted?
I believe I've answered that question already.
Like, did the other members of the select board want those too? Like,
I don't know, we're gonna find out if we vote on it.
so you, Larry, were acting for the whole select board in doing what you did?
I was not acting for the select board, I was acting as a member of the select board to ask our finance director to create a spreadsheet for me that would reflect accurate numbers, so that I would have something that I could present, knowing that it was accurate, to the rest of the board.
Okay, but I haven't heard you present it to the board, nor have I heard discussion amongst yourselves about that budget, and that's.
We haven't had a chance to discuss. We've been hearing a lot of questions. I believe Cliff has not spoken yet.
Cliff Rankin, most of you know me, I'm the former finance director for this town. I have two questions. One, Larry, is this spreadsheet that Stephanie put together for you part of the information packet for this meeting?
It is not.
So
Let's,
the
you're right,
second,
that is my mistake, and that should
I
have.
think that's a big mistake, Larry.
You're right.
Huge
You're right. So
mistake. We
let's-
don't get to consider it as
No,
members
we
of the
can-
audience and members of the supporters, as supporters of the library.
You're right.
And
Well,
you're
I-
obviously bringing it to
wait,
here
let-
to
let-
discuss.
I would really like people to take their turns and be recognized. We can't have a free for all. And I apologize for calling you out, but I do really feel like it's important for us to take our turn. So, Cliff, you wanted to follow up?
I've got two things to say. One is not related to the budget. You need better technology because I can't understand the things that you're saying and neither can the people online. And it's a big problem for open meeting. The second thing is put this budget before that the trustees submitted to the budget committee. The budget committee unanimously approved it and put it before the voters, please. Let the voters decide.
So we're gonna, we're expecting, this is, so, alright, so the technology piece, the technology usually works fine. We think there's probably something wrong. It doesn't usually work fine. I mean, it's not like this though, right?
No, the internet.
It all
went out
fits.
again.
I think we're having an internet problem. That's not us. I think that's what's going on
At the
tonight.
last meeting, Larry, I'm sorry, I'm speaking
Yeah.
out of turn, but at the last meeting, when you were considering a refund for the lots, I could not get online. And when I did finally get online, it was very difficult to follow the conversation because you don't have microphones and the microphones on the OWL are
They're not really good.
not really good, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and just like people in the room have trouble, it's the same, it's part of that same problem. We don't have the right technology, you're right. So what I'd like to say right now is that yes, that budget should have been in the packet, and I take responsibility for that, and I apologize. I'm not sure at this moment what the remedy is, and our town manager is not with us at the moment. I expect him to come online anytime now to join us, because
Do you want
And-
copies?
And
We have
so
some, we have some physical copies here.
we can certainly,
your email, we have a
yeah, we can
PDF
certainly
from this
pass out some
morning.
copies. We can, I'm not sure what we can do for folks online. We could post it
Do we
on,
have it, do we have it on the computer where we could share it on the screen?
It's the PDF, it attached the email I sent to you, Judy, this morning. So if you go in, I don't know if you can access your email from here.
I'll see. No, because there's no Microsoft product on this computer.
Yeah, usually.
So we can't do that.
I could go up and see if I can put it on a thumb drive. Here's a thumb drive. But, I'll be right back.
and I would say though that the yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. So let's continue to take some questions. We've got Ken in the back, hasn't had a chance to talk yet.
Ken Hafner, Chair of the Budget Committee. Got a suggestion. There's a budget that you would like to see. There's a budget that the library trustees would like to see. Can we get a vote with 3 options? Pick the library trustees, the select board trustees, or neither.
I'm not quite sure I follow what your suggestion is, Ken.
There's a budget that you want to see, the 400-something thousand. There's a budget that the library trustees want to see. Let the people decide,
Like a multiple choice.
multiple choice, vote.
I mean, like on the ballot, we put different choices.
Yeah, you pick one.
That's a really great idea. I'm not sure we're allowed to do that. Cliff is saying no.
You cannot have conflicting
Yeah, you can't do
articles
that.
on the ballot.
Well, it'd be the same article, just pick one.
It's for legal reasons that you can't do that. Because you can't have 2 conflicting questions on the ballot. What if they both pass?
Well, no, they couldn't, unless it was a tie, they couldn't both pass.
I suspect that by statute, it's either one budget up or down. Is what I suspect is the case. I'm in the back.
Hi, I'm Sunny. I'm a resident of Randolph, and I first want to say that I am strongly in support of the library. The library is the reason that my kid has friends. The library is the reason that I have a community here. Like, I'm very pro-library. Also, if I'm understanding correctly, legally the select board is on sketchy water as to whether or not they can actually make changes to the budget that the trustees and the budget committee, which is kind of their job as I understand it, they're on sketchy water if they can make changes to it. And then the changes that you're trying to propose, we haven't seen. I don't understand what the budget that you guys are proposing, how that differs from the budget that the library trustees have put out. And so obviously that's really concerning because we've been discussing around this, but I don't know, if your budget passes, what does that mean for my favorite librarian? But also, I do believe that the remedy is in the room with us of use the budget that the trustees gave you.
I'm happy to defer to Delia, who I think hasn't spoken yet.
Yeah, I just wanted to honestly,
for the record.
Delia Bender, Randolph resident. I just wanted to advocate that Devin, if the chat is working, wanted to speak, and she had a much more eloquent way to put things than I honestly would. And yeah, the chat is working. I wanted to put that forward that her hand was raised.
Okay. So.
And if not, I also have some
I'm
questions.
not seeing the Zoom. I'm guessing it's still there.
She's just trying to get us.
Yeah. So Devin, if you wanna unmute yourself and state your name and provide your comment now, that would be great. Can you hear us?
Thank you. My name is Devin Hannon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I had 4 quick questions for you as the select board, if that's okay. My first one was, what was the role of the budget committee in this?
That's a good question. My understanding is that the budget committee does not routinely review the library budget. This was the first time in perhaps a very long time that has been a thing. And I don't believe that the budget committee looked at the library budget the first time either. This seemed like a change in practice. It's also the case that the budget committee's role for a long time has been sort of uncertain. It's kind of an unusual committee in terms of how it fits into our municipal structure. I think Devin had some other questions.
Oh, okay,
Like
thank
if-
you.
Yeah,
My next quick question was, what happens if the library budget is voted down at the special election?
my understanding is that the library would have no budget entering the fiscal year, and we'd have to put a new budget in front of the voters for their consideration at a later date.
Okay, thank you for that answer. I look forward to hearing clarity around if that is the full and final answer in the future. I would love to hear that if it changes at all to hear that. My next question was, do you have a plan in place for evaluating all the wages of the town employees with action items and timelines?
I'm not quite sure what you meant by the last part of the question, but we do have in our budget for fiscal 27, the town budget, to do that the wage survey that I think you have in mind.
Okay, so that would happen in this fiscal year for sure.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question was, what is the select board's goal in putting forward the budget that you're proposing tonight?
Well, I can't speak for the whole select board, but I can speak for myself. And as I mentioned in my front porch forum post the other day, which if folks didn't see, I talked about how the library is very important to me. I've been going to the library the entire time I've lived in Randolph, last 23 plus years. My wife is a former library trustee. My kids have spent huge amounts of time at the library. It's a valued resource, and the library trustees and the library staff have done a really good job creating that space, growing that space, making it an ever more important resource for our community. And the bulk of the increase in the library proposed budget is wages for staff. And personally, I agree that the library staff should be paid more money. But I also know that as a select board member, that we have departments across the town that have had vacancies on and off for months, sometimes longer, because we can't find people to fill those spots. It seems really clear to me that not only are folks in the library deserving of more money, but folks across our municipal government deserve more money. But there's a real tension there between paying those folks the money that personally I would really like to see them get paid, and the resulting increase in property taxes, because wages are a really gigantic part of what we spend money on in town. The library budget from last year to this year, according to my proposal, would go up 8.2%, which is a pretty substantial raise. The previous year, the library budget went up 10%. Like, the library, we're putting resources into the library. I just don't know if at this moment that I personally feel like that's a good balance with the rest of the needs of our municipal government. That's where I feel. This is not to say that the library is not doing a good job. This is not to say that our staff of the library are not valued. It's simply to say that I think we need to look at a slightly bigger picture and balance those pieces versus the real costs, which everybody in town pays. And as an elected official, the thing that I hear more than anything else is it's too damn expensive to live here. And if we have double-digit increases in our town budgets, that's hard for a lot of folks to swallow. So that's where I come down on this particular budget, and I think it's really important that we work to increase wages for all of our staff. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some hard choices. It's going to take some planning, and it's going to take deciding what we want to perhaps not do with public funds. Wow, a lot of people now. So has anybody not had a chance
Thank you.
to talk? Oh, I'm sorry, Devin, were you done?
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to say thank you for your time, thank you for the compliments to the library, I do really appreciate it. Just one real quick, point, and I'll be done, it's not a question, so you don't have to reply, it's just, that when you say it's an increase of 22%, I hear that, the number's simply big, it's 0.0103% of the total overall budget, which to me comes out to be $30 annually for my taxes, so I just wanted to pass that along. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Devin. Yeah, and I would just say, you could make that same argument for any particular employee of the town. Oh, it's just a tiny part of the budget, but when you take all the salaries all together, it adds up, right? Okay, so I believe, if you have a chance to talk yet?
No, I haven't. I'm Peg Muffin, a new member to the library board. And I'm really confused and I'm wondering how we can find out the answer to the question, legally, if the select board can change the budget that is approved, is presented by the library board of trustees, approved by the financial or the budget committee. How do we get the answer to that question?
I don't know, but as we've had this point be,
Can I just say, the statute that Luke read says the library board presents the budget to the legislative body. It is their job. They are the legislative body. They put forward the budget to the budget to be warned to the town to vote on. So there's not you can't change what something, it's their responsibility. They are the legislative body of the town.
Stephanie, sorry. There is
So,
case law
Dustin,
specifically saying
you
they
should
cannot
ask me.
make adjustments to wages that the library board of trustees have put through, and a large part of this increase is adjustments to wages. And that's the precedent from the Supreme Court of Vermont. Sorry, Larry, I think that clarification is good, because it's not just statutes, it's also case law. And I think the real answer is, if we want to find out if they put through the budget they want, we have to sue them and have a judge rule what the law is. It's the only way to find out. It's how the Heartland Board of Trustees found out. They sued. Hartford, thank you.
So question to the select board, are you guys intentionally reducing the director's salary from what was requested by the library board of trustees?
I would say no, we're looking at that one number, right?
Three numbers.
Well, it's three numbers, but they're related. There's the amount, we're looking at the amount raised by taxes and the amount of the total budget. Those are the numbers that we're voting on. And the way that money gets spent is really at the discretion of the library.
Are you guys implicitly reducing that from what was requested by the board of trustees by not providing enough funds?
I mean, I think I made it pretty clear that I would love to see the wages of all the library staff increase, and that we have other people who also deserve similar increases. So I suppose in some sense, that's my opinion, but when we actually take our official stance, it's really about those numbers. And I mean, different select board members could have different sort of feelings about where they think the library ought to spend the money, but that's really not our purview, I don't believe.
And are you aware of Hartford Library Board of Trustees versus the town of Hartford and what the decision was there that's established case law?
You'll probably be not surprised to find out the answer to that question is also no.
So the answer to that is that a select board does not have the ability to reduce the director's salary from what the library board trustees has recommended. And that's established case law.
I don't think we're technically doing that.
You did it the first time around.
Technically.
Well, I mean, that's so much of this is about how things actually work. Amy?
In my 24 years of managing the library's budget, there has not been a single year where it's been the right time to address the undercompensation of library staff or any other town employee, unless it's through attrition, because somebody resigns, because somebody retires, and the town is faced with the reality check that when you hire somebody into a position new, you're gonna pay them a whole lot more than you were paying before. So I appreciate the sentiment behind what you're saying, Larry, that you would love to see library staff get paid more, but put your money where your mouth is. You introduced a bill into the legislature this year to raise the Vermont minimum wage to $18.60 an hour. I have 3 staff members who are not getting paid that. And
That's my evidence that that's really what I believe.
well, if you really believed that, you would not be hiding behind a statement that all the select board is doing is saying, this is the tax appropriation we think is appropriate. And the library trustees are responsible for figuring out how that filters out into the rest of the budget. That is demonstrably not how Stephanie calculated a tax appropriation for you to consider tonight. She calculated that based on a 3.25% increase for every staff member at the library. And if that is not the select board deciding the wages that library staff are to be paid, I don't know what is.
That's I would say that that's fair, but with the caveat that the library budget has pieces in it which can be moved around, right? And there are some other really big increases in that budget that the select board has not weighed in on.
I would like to hear what those other items are. I'm going to point out that the budget that the library trustees approved, put before the select board last fall, put before the select board in January, put before the budget committee in March. The overall increase to the tax appropriation is about $70,500, which is half of the increase that the general budget got for 2027. So this statement that you're so concerned about the impact of the library's budget on our residents' tax rates also does not ring true to
I believe
me.
that the general fund budget went up, if my memory serves, 7.7% from last year.
Percentage is moot. The general fund increase was $134,296. The highway fund went up $163,602. The police district went up $181,000. The library budget, as put forth by the library trustees, as is their authority, as is their remit, is seeking an increase of $70,000.
I think the
So-
percentages are more.
Percentages
appropriate
are
to-
moot. What
I
is
would-
the impact on the
I would
tax
disagree.
rate?
I would disagree. I think the percentages are actually really important.
The tax rate is dependent on the actual dollars, not on the percentage increase.
There's percentage increases across the board.
Larry, what was the
There, I
percent? What was the percentage increase?
Yeah, we should
What
let
I
the
had to
section,
say.
but Delia and then Luke.
All right, Delia Bender again for the record. Not as a personal attack or anything, but Larry, I'm aware that you own at least 8 properties within town. And it is very great to have affordable housing available. But would you say that that makes it at all a conflict for you when making a decision about this as a select board member? All right then, that's all I had to say.
And Luke?
Larry, what was the percent increase for the police district?
I believe the police district increase was 8.8%.
What was the taxable increase of the lease?
That was the percent increase of the actual budget.
Okay. What do I pay on my taxes more this
Did
year?
I make a motion?
We didn't even talk.
Yeah, other comments from the select board about the budget?
Just one more comment, Larry. I think it's really disingenuous for you to spring a new budget, new paperwork, that wasn't included in the packet.
So what happens if we don't vote tonight?
What, the
Yeah, no,
budgets
that's
that
what I
you're
was
trying to
hoping
talk
we'd
about
hear.
now and vote
Well,
on for the select board.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
why I
it's-
was hoping we'd have Trevor with us.
I
So
don't
we
think
could,
that does it.
so, cause, no, you're right, no, again, that was my mistake, and I take responsibility for that, and that was an oversight on my part, and I am very sorry that happened. We do have to
Sorry,
have a
Larry.
budget soon, so,
I
So
also,
if,
Judy?
if you agree on a budget tonight to be warned, the vote would be June 16th. So any day that you put off puts that off one more day. So if you wait until tomorrow, the earliest would be June 17th. If you wait 5 more days, it's gonna be June 21st. That's the time.
I feel like that we did talk about this in January and then at town meeting before. I don't think that this budget's a surprise. It's what was put forth with the corrections that were asked for, and I don't think it's a surprise at all, so. Can I make a motion, or?
Why don't you find me a public record where those corrections were asked for, instead of just saying shit out of your fucking mouth, Stephanie?
Wow.
Be honest.
Justin, that's not
Wow.
appropriate.
Are you gonna have me removed?
No,
None of this is
no,
appropriate.
No, I need you to stop, no. I
You
need
aren't
to-
even
I
considering
need
the
you to stop.
library's
I need
budget.
you to stop
You're not
right
considering
now.
it at all,
No,
Larry. You're
no,
just sitting
no,
there saying it's
no,
your
no, that kind
budget
of language.
or
What
bust.
are you afraid of
by putting the library's budget out for vote?
I
You've
am
heard
asking for,
overwhelming
I
support
am
from the
asking
community.
for decorum. I am asking for decorum. I have been a select board member for over 9 years now. I have never heard someone speak that way in one of these meetings before this time. It is not okay.
Judy, can you
It
go over
is
the
simply-
PD and ask the officer to come
It
over,
is simply,
please?
it is simply not
Now he's
okay.
coming?
People can have strong feelings. That is fine. We can have discussion. That is fine. But we need to be respectful of each other. You might think someone is not telling the truth. You might think that someone is telling you a story. That is your opinion. That is something that you can believe if you want to. But to express your unhappiness with that in that way, in this forum, is simply not appropriate. And I hope that we do not hear that kind of language. It will not come from me. Please, people. Okay.
I believe that you are disrespecting all of us by impeding our right to democracy by not allowing us to vote on the budget that the library board has proposed. I would like to ask you a direct question. Why not simply let people vote on it?
I think we've answered this question already. Amy?
You suggested that there are other aspects of the library's budget that cause concern. What are they?
I didn't say the cause concern. I just said that there was other places where there were some bigger percentage increases from the year before.
We shall. Where do you foresee all of this extra money?
I'm not saying that there is lots of extra money. I just know that some of the other parts of the budget went up considerably from last year. It's not a huge amount of money. If that's your point, it's not a lot. It's not a lot of money compared to the
But-
overall budget.
Larry, what were those parts?
Yes.
Insurance. Which is out of everyone's control. Custodial. It's easy to go down.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I heard someone say custodian. Yeah, there's a 39% increase in custodial services.
How much
Perhaps,
is that in dollars,
yes, no, I stated already that I know that those numbers are not huge numbers. There's,
Staff development.
there's a 231% increase in staff development, but again, it's a very small number. Equipment purchases, 100%, small number. Programs for adults, 20%, small number. Yeah, none of those are huge numbers.
The library board put a great deal of effort into market research that shows that library staff is undercompensated and has been undercompensated for many years. That there is the compression of wages that's only going to become more problematic when the minimum wage increases. My pay is the ceiling that holds down everybody else's pay. That's just the way it is. And as much as I appreciate the idea that the town will at some point hire a consultant to do the market research to correct the woeful underpayment of people like our town clerk, the library board does not need to wait for that. It is perfectly within their responsibilities and their remit to make sure that the library staff are compensated the way that they should be. And I'm sorry that some members of the select board find this, to use their words, offensive. I find it offensive to sit here in front of you and understand that while you accede to the realities of the situation, that when you hire new people into jobs, you have to attract them with a decent wage, while also being willing to accept that you are underpaying people who have put years of work into this community, who carry a wealth of knowledge, who have years of institutional memory, and be okay with that. Like, that seems to be okay with you to not reward and in fact take advantage of town employees who are willing to stay here because we love what we do and we love our community. To take advantage of that is reprehensible. I do not use that word lightly. I am angry that I'm angry. I am angry.
Me too.
And I'm Karen Lowry Reed. I'm the chair of the board at Kimball. I'd also like to mention that Amy has brought in bazillion dollars in grants. And that's very important and very generous. And you have to know how to do it, and Amy knows how to do it. So for years, she has been helping to support the library, not just with her good work, but with pulling in grant money. We took this so seriously. We did our homework. We have evidence. We have volumes of stuff. And just because nobody else has been doing this doesn't disqualify the work we've done.
Can I ask which of the select board members read the justifications provided as part of the supplementary material for the library budget?
That was two.
That was two.
Three.
Who's behind the poll?
Larry, you did not read the justifications?
No, I thought you asked this question earlier about the budget. Yes, I've read all the stuff that was sent out.
No, I didn't ask it earlier. I did take that.
Oh,
Can I just say something? This is Morgan Eaton, library trustee. Instead of thinking that we should do the wage increases in the future, why not make a positive step and do it now? You know, why not show to the community that we care about the library? But also, in the next fiscal year, we'll do the market study. Hopefully, other wages will also increase. But why not just be positive about this and think about the future and not just these, minutiae?
Just Luke Bowman, just to build on what he said, why not use this as a blueprint for
yep.
what you need to do for
Yep.
the rest of the town? I believe, even a town employee here has stated perhaps this, justification like this should be a blueprint for the rest of the town.
in the back.
And also,
I'm sorry, Karen.
Oh,
Someone
it's
behind
me.
you with
Sorry,
hands
sorry.
up.
Sunny Irons. And if the research next year finds out that the librarians are overpaid, then we don't give them wage increase next year. But this way that they have it, I believe personally that it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do for our community and the people who live here and take care of people. And I think that the library's a good place to put that money. And if they got too high of a wage increase, well, then we don't have to have this fight next year.
I just want to point out that this blueprint has been provided free of charge. It's been done by volunteers. You haven't had to hire a consultant or anything. I mean, the first round here with us, we're handing it to you. We're saying, this is what we think, and this is why we think it. And here's the evidence and the information that backs it up.
And I've already stated before, the evidence was based off of New England, not Vermont numbers, and so that was my problem with it is, there's a lot of things in there, but having a professional across the board look at things, it makes more sense to me.
Do it.
That's what we're working on it, so.
We're gonna do it.
So I'd like to make a motion. Do you have,
A comment.
Oh, Tamara.
One, the wages you're paying that the trustees are supplementing and that the town is paying is probably more than paying for the kick down the road infrastructure that hasn't been being paid for because you refused to accept the grant, the $150 grant, et cetera. And also, I feel that the cry for decorum is a way for people who are not respectful of their town to gatekeep and say, you don't get to speak, we get to speak because we know how to speak. I've always felt this way. That's the reason I tend to speak the way I do. I've learned to tone it down because I know I get heard better, but I still feel that that's a gatekeeping move and I disapprove of that.
I really disagree. I think we can have a healthy conversation where everybody feels respected and everybody is heard without descending into vulgarities. Yes, Luke.
Larry, one more question. Did you share the revised budget with the rest of the board before the meeting?
No.
Okay. Is it normal practice for the chair of the select board to direct town employees to do things outside of a select board meeting?
It happens, and especially right now with our interim situation with Trevor leaving, when we've had uneven presence in the town manager's office, we need to keep the town going. So yeah, the select board, especially the chair, will often have can have direct contact with especially the department heads. In some communities, the select boards actually run the town because they don't have staff actually to do those jobs. Matt?
Matt Knight, just before you vote on this, it sounds like there's a motion imminent. I just want the members to think through the risk associated with this. If this warning is put forward with the budget you're proposing, Larry, and it is voted down by the town, that budget, as I understand it, will not pass, and there will be no budget allocated for the library. And just think about the consequences of that, and obviously the townspeople need to think through the consequence of that. Likewise, if you decide to go with that and the budget passes, think what that means to the staff who are impacted, the community that's impacted. You're basically telling them the thing that you've been thinking of for the past however many months that you've become emotionally attached to, that's not going to happen. And that could cause attrition in the staff for the library. Is that the thing that we want as a town to happen? That is the risk that you're playing with here. This is not a do we spend a bit more money or not and get the same end result. You are taking a risk when you make that vote. And I just want to make sure that the select board members are thinking that through, because there are real ramifications to this decision.
Alright, and everybody else at the select board, let us decide, let us vote on what the library said, please. I really agree, that's David. I wanna know, do the other members of the select board have anything to say, or are they just puppets sitting by side of you? I have not heard one word from the two women on either side of you.
I've been absorbing everything that I'm hearing because I wasn't here for the January discussions, and I'm kind of coming into the middle of this. I don't love the proposed budget because I kind of echo what Larry said about the concern of just the overall tax increase. And like he said, we're hearing from a lot of people that they just can't afford to live here anymore, and that sits heavy on me. But I also hear all of you in that since this is going to go out to a vote to the town, let the people decide. So I think, though I don't like it, I would put it to the people because I'm not feeling comfortable making that choice on my own.
So what are you saying should go to the people, Bethany?
The proposed budget from the trustees, because there seems to be some legal concern, and that's concerning.
It's not founded though.
Okay, I don't know. I can't verify that right now. So,
What did Stephanie just say?
just that it wasn't founded, that it's legal or not legal. So, at this point, we can put it to the people, and I guess that's where I feel more comfortable right now, because I'm not. Though I don't like it, I don't know. I can't ignore either what people are saying. So.
I have had plenty of feedback from other people that the original budget that they have come back with is way too much, and people were in agreement of thinking at town meeting that like there could be like a slight change to things, and that's why it was voted down. I think having that huge discussion at town meeting with what was proposed is basically $35,000 increase by taxes, essentially. I mean, I'm rounding and stuff, but was what people at town meeting wanted to see on the ballot. And so by going back and saying like, well, we're not going to give you what you asked for at town meeting, we're going to give you this whole other thing. I think that's going to actually cause it to get voted down completely. And then we start after July 1st with no budget. Yeah,
I actually don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the discussion was at town meeting. Everyone at town meeting supported that we made those few changes and that they would support this budget. And so that is the biggest feedback that I have as a select board member, is what happened at town meeting. And so we had a lot larger crowd there, a lot more representative crowd, and that's what people wanted to see was this budget here.
I do have a question on the library trustee revenue contribution, the one that was submitted by the board of trustees. There's the 50,000, but then on this alternative, it's knocked down to the 25,000. Was that the error that was discussed after that budget meetings? I was present for the February meeting, just to hear that discussion, so I'm just trying to clarify.
The 50,000 from the trustees versus the 25,000.
Well, I felt like the trustees said they submitted that wrong at that time, so it's the same.
My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, was the board of trustees was willing to withdraw 50,000 from their trust fund instead of the 25,000, because they recognized that they were asking for a large increase, so they want to take on some of that burden for this year. But my understanding, according to their meeting minutes, is that they can only do that for 1 year. So if we did it as they present it, the next year, the $25,000 the extra $25,000 if they support it would then disappear because they can't do that every year because it messes with their trust fund. It would end up depleting the trust fund and leaving them without that. So that's another thing is like we did this budget, next year they would come back and they wouldn't be able to support that. According to their minute meetings themselves, then that would be another burden on the taxpayers. So they would that burden would then be reflected again for fiscal year 28. And so that's also kind of another part of it. Yeah.
Peg Muffin, I was at the town meeting, and I have to respectfully just disagree with your interpretation, Stephanie, because that wasn't my interpretation of what the town wanted. So
That's not how I understood it, and that's not how and there's been plenty of people that aren't here that have spoken to me and
Why aren't they here if
and
they
that's-
care about it? We all care about this
Excuse me,
issue.
I am talking, kids. It's so disrespectful. I think that means to adjourn. I like motion to adjourn. Wow. Yeah.
I mean, I was not trying to be disrespectful.
I've gotten yelled at. I've gotten told to shut the fuck up. I'm not staying here.
If you wouldn't mislead people.
I think we're gonna take a break for till 7:45. I know I said 7:45 that we will come back. It took me a little longer to join you all. My apologies. Thank you for your patience. Stephanie has left the meeting. Alyssa has left the meeting. We need 3 votes to move an item. And with Emery abstaining from the library budget, we can't move forward with it. So we're gonna have to make another plan. So having said that, we're gonna move to the next item on our agenda.
I think she's fun now.
Is that, can we turn this up? It's as loud as it goes. It sounds like it's coming through the owl, but. Yeah, it's really hard to hear you, Sally.
We can't hear you, just hang on 1 second, okay?
I can't make it any louder.
Bruce. Yeah, you don't want to usually just hit that here.
It is on the owl. It is on this check.
Right here for speaker. Sally, can you say something now?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, that's better.
Thank you.
Yes, no?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay, Larry, is it, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that you personally changed the budget presented by the library board of trustees to something else to be presented to the voters whenever you have that next vote at the special meeting, yes?
No.
No?
No, let me finish.
I'm waiting, yes.
Oh, okay. We have a little bit of a lag, so it's hard to talk sometimes over the Zoom. So what I did was I asked the finance director to create a budget which would have done what we intended to do, what the select board intended to do at its January meeting. That's the numbers which I was asking the select board to consider for tonight. It's not my decision what budget we end up voting on or the way the vote goes. It was my decision to put that in front of the select board for discussion and for a possible vote. But we're not gonna have that vote tonight because we don't have the necessary members of the select board to do so at the moment.
I understand that, but I had a question as to how you got to where you are. And I wish to let it be known that my personal opinion is that you should absolutely present to the voters what the trustees intended for the voters to vote on, whenever that time comes.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Loud and clear.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
I agree.
So we would.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
I'm
so
gonna
we're-
leave this meeting and
we're-
get some dinner.
Okay.
I would love that.
Yeah, it's 8:00. We're done with the library section of our agenda today. So we're gonna move on to the next part of our agenda, which is assembly permit for Make Music Day. Luke, do you have a question about Make Music Day?
No, I still have a question about the budget.
We're done. We're gonna take this up another time when we have enough members of the select board to vote on a proposal.
So
We'll
you're-
continue that discussion at that time.
You didn't make a motion
I'm sorry?
to move on.
I don't think we need to make a motion to move on. We can't continue the discussion with the library right now because we can't vote for it. There's no point. We don't normally make motions to move on. Yeah, I don't think that's part of our normal procedure.
Speaking of, y'all are supposed to inform everybody what the rules of procedure are at the beginning of every meeting, which you have not done. And that would really help clarify the rules around public comment.
All right, we can do that. Thank you for that. Make Music Day, assembly permit.
Just trying to find it, sorry.
Yep.
We have 146 pages in our packet this week, so.
126.
146 on my page.
No, it's all 126.
He's saying it's on.
It's on page 126.
Oh, thank you. Thought you were trying to argue with me, sorry. No, it's 146.
Save easy scrolling.
Thank you, I'm only at 100, bear with me. The internet is struggling also. Oh, 6 more to go. We need just a motion to approve.
Yeah, it's a pretty
Yeah.
straightforward.
So I make a motion to approve the assembly permit for Make Music Day.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I've forgotten how to talk.
That's the select board members in the room, so the motion passes 3-0. Next is assembly permit for the community yard sale.
I don't believe I have a conflict in this matter, so I'll make a motion to approve.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next up is consider approval of grant applications for the Park Street sidewalk extension. And I don't believe there is anybody here representing the group for that, but I did get an email from John Kaplan. Where is it? And now my internet's not working great.
Would it help if we all turned off our internet?
If you're sucking off the Wi-Fi, possibly yes.
Let's see. Oh, here we are. I found it. Okay. John gave us a sort of a list of points to make, and I don't know how well thought through these were, and John may be annoyed with me for sharing them on the meeting, but I'm just gonna read what he said so people know what we're talking about here. So this is a grant approval for the sidewalk, for a sidewalk on Park Street. It's a segment of sidewalk identified in the town's walk-bike master plan. The town has invested time and money having that segment scoped out by Du Bois and King. And that it's a key segment providing access to the town recreational facility and the Wallace Hill area. And give them better access to the downtown and the schools. The town's share of the cost will be spread out over several years as the grant provides reimbursement of 80% of the costs, as the design and construction process would likely not occur until 2029 at the soonest. The grant will pay for administration time, design, construction oversight, and the actual construction. And so basically getting a pretty big project done with a 20% match on the part of the towns. And that our current town plan supports this type of investment and that we should not delay because costs are just gonna go up. Yeah, other thoughts or questions about this?
It's a question that doesn't have an answer, but it seems like it says it's gonna take 3 years to build 750 feet of sidewalk.
I think it's gonna take a long time to go through the whole application process, getting the money, getting it in place, but I believe the actual construction will take place in a single season.
Okay.
The town costs are over the course of 3+ years.
I think John put it that way because we would be able to sort of build up funds in our sidewalk reserve over a period of time to get to the number that we need. I don't have the actual numbers in front of me. We've discussed them in the past. But building sidewalks is stupid expensive.
Yeah.
Let's see, it's a 750-foot long sidewalk. There's no, I don't have other.
And just,
That's
he
all right.
already has applied for this, or are we giving him permission to apply? for
We're
it?
giving
Just
him
from my
approval to apply for this grant.
understanding. Okay. So we're not accepting it technically at this.
No, we're just giving approval to apply for the grant as part of our grant process procedure.
Yeah. Morgan, do you have something to share?
Who is applying for the grant?
So the organization who's actually applying for it is a town of Randolph, but I believe Mr. Camplin is going to be volunteering a good bit of time to help us get that, to assist us in getting that application in. I think this grant, I wish John or Trevor were here. Mike, if I remember right, this is is something that John, well, I know John knows this program really well, and he's going to be a really good person to have help submitting the application. How's that?
I don't think you have to do it.
No, I just was clarifying if it was a person, individual, or if it was a town. He is
Trevor's
the town
online.
manager, or he is.
Oh, Trevor's online.
Hey, Trevor.
Did I get that right, Trevor?
The town will be the applicant for the grant. The local match will come from sidewalk reserves. We'll be able to spread it out over the 3 fiscal years that are listed. These things take a long time because there's preliminary design, final design, right of way, all of those pieces. Construction happens in a single season at the end. So we'd be the applicant, but Walk Bike Roll Randolph is helping with this. This project was one of the 3 that came out of the scoping study that we completed and had presented, I think, in February, I want to say, and was the one we sort of envisioned coming out of that as the one to move forward. Lowest total cost, serves a good user group, because some of the other projects were upwards of $1 million in total based on the scoping study budget.
Luke Bowman, do I understand it correctly? The town of Randolph has a reserve fund for sidewalks, but does not have one for its historic library building?
that is true.
Sorry, this is his first Randolph Selectboard meeting.
Why are you apologizing?
It helps me, you ask good questions.
Alright, so I think we need a motion to approve applying for the grant.
So
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Next up on our agenda is appointments to boards, committees, and commissions. I'm thinking that at this moment we perhaps,
I think you skipped one.
did I skip one? Let me skip. Oh, the audit services, yes. So next up on our agenda is to consider the award of the fiscal year 27 to 29 audit services bid. Trevor, you're on.
I see Stephanie sitting there too. We went out to bid for audit services. We were at that 5-year mark with our current auditor, so it's a best practices mark anywhere from 3 to 5. We received one respondent, Sullivan Powers and Company out of Montpelier. They're long tenured, lots of municipal experience, have done many of these audits through the years. So they're the sole bidder. They can do both the regular audits for those 3 fiscal years. So this will be 26 the current year, 27 the following year, and 28 would be the final. We would then have a choice to extend if everybody is agreeable or not, or we go back out to bid again. The challenge is it would be a little more than what's in the audit line for fiscal 27, but there are some ways to pay for that from other professional services lines, and then it would be able to be budgeted for in future fiscal years. And then the single audit costs depend on the level of federal dollars we spend in terms of determining whether or not we need them. We need one currently, mostly because of the FEMA reimbursements. So that's one of the variables there, and that has its own assigned costs with it. So they met the technical specs, they have the professional aptitude, they have the experience, we can figure out how to pay for it.
When you say figure out how to pay for it, just being the new kid here, aren't we already paying for a service currently though?
We are, but this is a higher bid than the baseline
Gotcha.
by about $11,000.
A year.
Yes.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be until after July 1, so this is an expense in next year's
In the 27
budget, not the
budget.
current year.
Okay.
So we,
So when we
Yeah.
contract with them, do we agree to a price for a certain amount of years, or does it go up every year?
So they've bid for a 3-year period, and then it has about a $1,500 increase per year for the 3-year, and then we would have the option to extend.
So have we seen this historically with the other company we use?
We've had an increase, but the baseline is setting higher, and that can typically happen when you go out to rebid.
and we are seeing this with other municipalities that are going out seeking auditors, that they're getting no bids, getting a limited number of bids, that the prices are higher, there are fewer firms, or at least there have been, it's been a little cyclical, but so seeing prices jump when you go out to bid plus the general marketplace, it's not sticker shock from that sense in terms of it being totally unanticipated as part of the bid process.
Okay, thank you.
I am, if I may.
Yeah,
I am
please
a
go
bit
ahead.
concerned that we only had one bid for the bid. So we don't have any other options. We don't have entities competing against each other to service us. It's a bit glib of me, but like, who audits the auditors? They're just throwing out a number and we have to say yes or no, and if we say no, we have no one, and then we're not abiding by the law. So we're kind of stuck, right?
Our current one is done in July.
Our current one is finishing the 25 audit. She did not bid on this RFP.
Right.
And no other auditors, even though we outreach to several firms with this RFP. No other audit firms
Bothered to even give us a
give
number?
us a proposal.
Trevor, did you say that other municipalities are seeing that as well? Or were you just referring?
Yeah, it seems to be that there's been some have seen limited responses when they've gone out to bid. They've seen the increased prices. We asked for 2 pieces as part of the response. So there was a cost proposal and a technical proposal. So the costs are all based on the breakdown of hours as supplied totaled up per type of accountant, per type of partner. So we know what that breakdown is and what the expected hours are. And they, for the pieces that they do, whether they're here in-house with us for a week or 2 or when they're doing their follow-up stuff and writing the final reports after. So there is that breakdown in the bid responses that Stephanie and I were able to look through. This is a firm that's done a number of DDs in a number of places, a number of conditions. They're very thorough. They have the technical expertise. I have no concerns about the quality of the work and the independent nature of the auditor in doing the work as well. You'll get a very good product, a very thorough product, and if they find something, they will help you fix it, but they will also let you know what it is.
Stephanie, do you feel comfortable with this?
I do. I did have a brief discussion. Many of the audit firms are also, much like the police, are having trouble finding their own staff to bring in, to hire. This is a nature of our landscape, apparently.
I know this decision was at some point well before my time, but the town of Randolph moved away from having a town appointed auditor to going out and contracting services. And Trevor, I assume you would say that going back to that is not recommended due to what you listed off, the independence and the professionality and the thoroughness. Are towns going back to a town appointed auditor at all? Is that a trend due to the lack of employees?
No, because the level of complexity, the compliance standards, especially if you take federal money, you need a certain level of professionalism. It can't be, you need to make sure that people know what they're looking at, can do the thorough job, can look at the GASB standards and apply them appropriately. We're seeing this with auditors, with the listers, even where people are moving towards hired or staff or contracted services. So there's a move toward professionalism generally, as complexity comes into place and volunteers become hard to find for certain things, especially capable, qualified ones. That doesn't mean that every place is doing it, but that's a general trend. But
You do want to have a professional product for something like your annual reporting, both for the federal and the bond bank for our borrowing. There's a number of reasons to have a CPA, a certified firm, do your annual audit.
It's not here. I know a guy I could ask. I understand the complexities here.
Are we supposed to, sorry, I'm just clarifying, are we supposed to take public comment? Like, can we have this?
I'm sorry.
After it's okay.
We can certainly hear
Okay.
From Matt.
Matt, I understand that you don't have a lot of choice in this. It makes sense. I think I heard though there was a baked-in $1,500 a year increase.
That was the old one.
That is the proposal in front of us too.
Yeah, the proposal. That's a 13% yearly increase. That's significant. Like, I get going to market, you're always going to pay more to get a new service than you would keeping the old one, and that's what's happening here. But to bake in a 13% yearly increase, that seems bold.
It's a $38,500 bid for the first year and a $1,500 increase for the second year and the third year.
1,500 or 15,000?
1,500.
Yeah.
But sorry, I thought it was an $11,000.
It's $11,000 over the budget.
More than what we're paying.
Oh, I see. Sorry, got it. Okay,
Yeah.
my bad. Thank you.
Make a motion to accept the bid.
Is that our motion, Trevor?
What do I say, Trevor?
Motion to accept the bid?
Where'd he go?
Uh-oh.
yeah, to award the bid to Sullivan Powers and Company of Montpelier.
So
Be the motion, I believe.
That's the way to do it.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. So now we'll move on to our boards, committees, and commissions appointments. And given that our
Yeah, to push that.
Trevor, do we need a motion to skip over this on the agenda, or how do we normally do that?
You could have a member make a motion to table it to a future meeting, second, and vote on it if you're worried about process.
Okay.
I make a motion that we table it and move on due to lack of members here.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Skip over that part. Consider appointments to the town manager search committee. So we have 7 people who have who we are intending to appoint. This is a group that that Stephanie and I have come up with. Not the entire board, but the entire board will consider the names, and so the names would be Stephanie as chair of the search committee.
Can you use first and last names?
I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
It'd be Stephanie Tyler as chair of the search committee. Me, Larry Sapkowitz as vice chair. And then the other members of the committee are proposed to be Ashley Lincoln, Kristen Chandler, Mark Rosalbo, Chris Chambers, and our police chief, Scott Claude. And so these are the folks who together will come up with a job description, who will come up with a sort of, basically a little pamphlet that we're gonna get help creating from Dominic Cloud, who we have engaged to hire through VLCT, the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, to help us search for a new town manager. And he's gonna help this group come up with the materials we need to basically do all the advertising to attract the right person. And once we do that, he will help us put ads out into the world, and when we start getting back applications, this group will do sort of one of the first runs through the list of people who apply for the job before sending names to the select board. So it's sort of sharing the responsibility and getting some more input from other people in the municipality. Karen?
I have a quick question. Will there be an opportunity for citizens of Randolph to give input on what they might like to see in a town manager?
Well, the meetings of this committee are going to be public meetings.
Okay.
So yes, the answer is absolutely. They will be warned like a regular committee meeting.
Okay.
I hope people come to those. One of the most important decisions that a select board makes is hiring the town manager.
Yep.
It's like hard, like
It's the job.
It's sort of the job. Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a quick question from your Front Porch Forum missive. It seemed, I interpreted that to mean that there were going to be community members on the committee.
Ashley Lincoln and Kristen Chandler are 2 community members. Yeah. 2 people who I personally think rather highly of, and I think will be a real great asset to this committee.
Can you speak to what are the responsibilities of the chair of this committee?
Mostly the chair is going to help schedule meetings, and will be the primary contact that we have with our search provider. Dominic.
And you didn't want to be the primary contact?
Stephanie kindly volunteered, and I said sure. But it's going to be it's very much a administrative, sort of gathering of folks. But all the members of the committee will have plenty of time to have input into how this all works. And as Karen pointed out, it'll be open to the public, and I'm really hoping we get a good bit of public input as well. So those are the names that we are suggesting, that I'm suggesting. And so I think we would need a motion to appoint these folks to this temporary committee.
So moved. It's my favorite one.
That's a good one.
Second.
Does a lot of work. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We've created the search committee. And Trevor, are you still out there?
I have one question about that now that we've passed that. Sorry.
Yes.
Would there ever be, what if someone had to come off of that committee, would we just reappoint a new person, or like, would we have alternates, or, sorry, I should have asked this. My brain isn't fast.
I suppose I don't really know the answer to that question. My guess, my guess is that if an opening happened early on in the process, we would probably find somebody else to fill that spot. But if it kind of happened later, like as we were wrapping up, probably wouldn't make sense. So it probably depends more upon the timing. I don't think there's a sort of a firm rule around that. Yeah. So Trevor, can you talk us through the RACDC request for a public hearing?
Yeah, hey, sorry. I'm in a very cold room. I stepped up to get a little heater thing. This is, as I understand it, to set a public hearing tied to the pass-through grant for Salisbury Square. And the request is to have that hearing date set for your June meeting. I think I see Peter in the room who might be able to tell you more about those pieces of this. And then what we heard from the state is whether or not, you just gotta consider whether or not it's too early or not. You could warn it, not do it, I suppose, if you wanted to at least create the opportunity. They recommended that hearings not be scheduled until some point after all remaining funds have been drawn down. I don't have a good sense of whether or not those timelines match, so that would be a question. But really the request is to try to warn a public hearing for your June 11th select board meeting for this grant, similar to the one I'm presuming you did. I jumped on after that for the Playhouse.
Yeah, so Peter Reed, the executive director of RACDC. So we're in the tail end of finishing the Salisbury Square project, and the concern is that we're wrapping up the final grant funding in the next couple weeks, and we were concerned that we need there's a certain timing that's required for having a public hearing, and so we basically are asking to give I guess have the select board approve that there would be a hearing, but also to give the town manager or alternate or interim the authority to set that date when we are a little closer to the final date. If our concern was if we waited to the June board meeting to approve that, we're trying to close this out by the end of June, that the timing would get crunched. It's really a formality. In my view, in our experience, nobody ever comes to these. Not that we don't want to give them the opportunity, but we would like to have the flexibility to schedule this. In our timing, we need to get it scheduled before May 29th to be able to make the rest of the timing work. So we have a couple weeks before that time hits, but we don't want to wait till the June board meeting to then be kind of run out of time. So that's what we're asking for.
Just so I'm clear,
Yeah, don't ask me.
is this the same one we've already taken on as the pass-through, but it's all gonna be done?
It's the same. It's basically a process to because of the VCDP $850,000 grant, you have to hold this hearing when the funding is complete.
Okay.
That's the
And
issue.
so far, that's all going well.
I mean, the funding is starting to flow, and
Yeah.
we've been working with Stephanie and team to make that happen. So and the project is basically done, so it's not a question of that. And the funds that we're drawing down on the rest of the grant are basically going to go to pay back a state construction loan that we've incurred. So money is going from one state agency to another.
Does that entire requisition have to be completed before you can have the hearing?
My understanding is we have to have the funds fully drawn down before then.
I'm just curious if we think we're gonna have those drawn by May 29th.
We're requisitioning them on May 22nd, because if we don't requisition them on May 22nd, the window closes until July and we wouldn't get money till August, and that would be a disaster.
On the meeting.
Next Friday.
It's a little, yeah.
Has anybody actually taken on these projects yet? Like, I know that there was a group that was gonna be like taking over the role of RACBC.
Oh. That is happening at some point, but the VHCB approved the funding for the transition this week, and the Downstreet's board meeting is on Monday, where they're taking up the decision at their board. We're anticipating they'll approve it. They won't take control of this property for a number of months as we do the transition.
So is the town responsible for it after your books close if they haven't taken it over?
I guess if we disappeared completely and nobody else stepped in, the town would have some liability, yes. But that's not gonna happen. But just, yes, that is, in theory, that's true.
So, Peter, I'm sorry if you said this already, because my brain is starting to shut down. We can't simply schedule this for our next select board meeting in June right now? Is that what you're saying?
Right, because we have to give a certain amount of notice for the hearing. And if we wait till the June meeting, I don't think we're gonna have enough time to have the hearing and complete this by the June 30th deadline that we're looking at.
And we can't vote on the hearing date now, I guess, I'm sorry.
We're asking you to vote to hold a hearing. It's a technicality, and in our discussions with the state, they're not even sure this is needed, but we have to.
We're gonna vote to hold a hearing. We
Yeah.
could vote to have that hearing at our next select board meeting in June.
Yes.
Yes, you could do that.
Because that would be the natural thing for us to do.
And then that gives us time to notice it in the next couple weeks to meet I think it's a 15-day requirement.
Okay.
I love that plan.
Okay, I think I must have misunderstood you or lost
Okay.
some part of your.
No, if we know we're gonna be on the agenda for the next meeting, hopefully item A, not item H, then unless there's library or parade discussion, yeah, that would be, I think that would work.
I think we could make that happen.
Okay, then we have a date set and there's less of an issue.
Got it.
And you mentioned something about the manager having a particular role in this, or?
Well, if the date was not set, then we would be asking the town manager to do that, but if we're setting the date now, that wouldn't be required.
Great. Thank you.
Do you need a motion to put the public hearing, RACBC public hearing
At our next.
at our next select board meeting?
Well, at our June select, at our next regular meeting in June.
Probably didn't say.
Did that sound like a motion to you, Judy? It did.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was an 8:30 motion, is what that
Thank
was.
you.
That's good. Thank you, Peter. All right, appointment of a delinquent tax collector.
Stephanie.
What you got for us, Stephanie?
We can only talk,
Oh,
yeah, I volunteered Stephanie, we only talked about it briefly. The idea would be just as a short-term placeholder I've been the DTC since Cliff was when I arrived, and then when he left, somebody had to be. I got names, and then working with finance, particularly on the payment plans for anybody who's delinquent, there's sort of a natural synthesis there. So if Stephanie is amenable, I would recommend, at least in the short term, and then maybe in the longer term, seeing if someone else is appropriate, or if that's a role that fits, because she's got her hands full with some of the transitions in there. But this way, somebody is named, if you have to sign off on a payment plan, there's the capability to do that. So at least keeps us with that capacity to meet those requirements.
So, a motion to name Stephanie Barrett as the, do you have more to say?
Just to ask if you consent to this.
We do,
Okay.
we will get the notices out, we probably won't get the May notices out, but we will get them out in June. And they did get, sometimes they don't go out until June, but we did get notices out in April, and we had, people respond. But it's a necessary process, unfortunately, but necessary.
Thank you for your service.
Indeed.
I make a motion to appoint, sorry,
No,
you had.
you do it, go.
Okay. I make the motion to appoint Stephanie, not Haley, sorry. Barrett, thank you, as the delinquent tax collector of Randolph.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. And then our last item of business is to consider the local emergency management plan. And do you want to tell us anything we need to know about this?
Yeah.
Trevor?
Yeah, and Judy's worked on it too, so if you have a more detailed question on some of the sections, but this is where we designate who's the emergency management director, the coordinators, where we designate the shelter in the event we need to activate one, list out key contacts, purchasing agents. There's one change you should consider making to the draft you have before you, and that's to maybe make where I'm listed as your purchasing agent, given my short runway here, make it more generic, just town manager, and that way it'll cover your interim, and it will cover whoever your appointment is until you can name that person more specifically next year at this time.
So
It's a spring requirement.
The town manager is listed, so we should just slash your name then. We don't need to add it, cause it's already in there.
That's
Like-
right, yeah.
Okay.
Leave the title and lose the name.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just a cut and paste from last year. We just have to do it every single year.
Yeah.
Trevor, a quick question. Are those, might not be relevant, are the retention ponds that were discussed by public a month ago part of the emergency plan? Do we know that?
The retention, sorry, did you say retention funds?
Ponds. A member of the public was talking about retention ponds throughout the town. And I think there was a concern about the plowing and access to them.
Was this part of George Daniel's throw roads up?
I believe that was the individual, yes. I didn't know if this
Yeah,
was related at all or not.
I mean, not necessarily. They do come in if we had to, say, take a listing and maintain a listing of dry hydrants, for example, is one of the roads
That was it.
he's often referenced as a dry hydrant on the end of it. So that's where we're able to draw water from a pond through a truck to fight a fire. And so certainly if you consider giving up those roads and they do have dry hydrants on them and access could become jeopardized, you're gonna wanna consider that. But the LEMP doesn't specifically talk about those types of pieces, but I guess they are interconnected. Usually what the LEMP is talking about is disaster more on the lines of July 2023 when a lot of Vermont flooded out. You're talking bigger disasters, whereas that dry hydrant conversation is more specific to firefighting in rural areas. The bigger Belmains style fires that we had in the 90s would be drawing right from hydrants, right from the water systems. It's a little different as an animal and a type of disaster.
Thank you very much. I make a motion to approve the LEMP while removing the specificity of Trevor Lashlow's name.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Next up on our agenda is town manager's report. Do you have anything for us, Trevor?
Crosswalk painting, John was thinking Monday, Tuesday even for that, and you may have seen the street sweeper out, so if you see the crew out, that's what they're doing, trying to take advantage of the warmer temperatures. The vicious dog hearing decision was formally served this week, so that process is in its appeal period. I don't believe I have any other updates beyond that.
Okay. Thank you.
Is the written decision on that anywhere?
Trevor, where does that written decision live?
We don't have it posted, but if somebody wants it, they could reach out to Judy, and now that it's been served, it's a fully public record, so if somebody did want it, can provide that.
Do we have to amend minutes of the dog hearing to reflect that decision? Do you know?
Did you, yeah, I mean, you already acted on the minutes during the consent agenda, but one of the things we could do is, I've seen, formal decisions get appended or attached.
Okay.
As a way to at least keep the record, the record of decision with the record of the hearing together, so then if you go looking years later, they're always in the same place.
Sounds like a good.
I don't know that you need a motion to do that. Yeah, we could just do that. It obviously wouldn't be a formal part of those minutes if you already adopted them, but we can just kind of add it to the end.
Okay, so we don't need to take action then on that, we can just do that. Okay, thank you, Judy. We have a proposed executive session, but I'm not aware that we have items to discuss.
No, it was if you needed to do anything for any of your interim or search related stuff, but you're past all that, so there isn't anything for those two items.
Alright, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.